and turn to our senior member of the great delegation to the House of Representatives, aka the People's House, Jim Langevin.
Thank you, Sheldon. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sheldon, and appreciate the work that Sheldon is doing and his role as a former Attorney General, as Jack mentioned, and as a senior member of the Judiciary Committee. But I am honored to be here today with all of my colleagues in the delegation, Governor McKee, Lieutenant Governor Matos, Attorney General Peter Neronha, Mayor Elorza. We acknowledge our leaders, Lauren Fortunato, Colonel Manni, and Commissioner Paré, and Colonel Clemens, and also all the advocates out there in our community organizations who are fighting to take guns off our streets, keep them out of the wrong hands. Thank you for what you're doing on the front lines every day. Special acknowledgement to Cedric Huntley and the Nonviolence Institute. Thank you for hosting us here today, the work that you do on the front lines every day to try to keep our communities safer. I, of course, have to begin by expressing my sincere condolences to those families who have lost loved ones to gun violence, especially in recent days. Providence has already suffered, as you know, 8 homicides this year, tragically outpacing the last several years. This increased violence has turned neighborhoods, sadly, into crime scenes and traumatized its citizens, particularly children. Let me be crystal clear. The violence needs to stop now. And this is a challenge and a problem across our country that needs to stop. As policymakers, we must take a look at ways to keep our young people out of criminal activity and make our communities safer. We must do more to invest in higher risk neighborhoods, reduce crime, and provide off-ramps for young people to swear off the illegal activity that they had been involved with, which is why I strongly support increased funding for mentoring programs. And I want to lift up incredible organizations like the Institute for Nonviolence, which is doing obviously incredible work every day to preach the principles of peace and diffuse potentially violent situations throughout our communities. I also believe in providing better hope and career pathways for their future, helping to pave the way to success. I've been a long-time champion of career counseling and mentorship programs, so that our young folks can see themselves and see an alternative to criminal lifestyles, and have steadfast support as they prepare themselves for jobs in the 21st century. That's the real pathway to hope, seeing a brighter future for themselves. But obviously, we must also do more to address keeping weapons, address the weapons being used to carry out deadly violence, guns. As many of you know, I learned about the devastating damage that guns can cause when I was 16. And although my situation was an accident, it's driven me to speak out for common sense gun safety legislation throughout my time in public office. We start by getting illegal guns off the street, and that's why I look forward to working with all of my colleagues here today to strengthen local and federal partnerships to crack down on gun runners and drug trafficking rings. Over the coming months, I'll be introducing legislation in Congress to target gun dealers who engage in illegal sales and practices, like falsifying records or failing to keep guns stored securely. It's shocking to know that estimates say that demonstrate that just 5% of gun dealers supply guns used in 90% of crimes. That is absolutely stunning. It's unacceptable, and we can do something to stop it. Of course, I obviously also strongly support expanding the universal background checks to close the gun show loophole and ending the Charleston loophole by giving federal authorities more time to conduct background checks on prospective firearms purchases. I was proud to vote for both of these measures, which passed the House earlier this year, and I know that my colleagues in the Senate are working hard to gather the necessary support to send these bills to the President's desk soon. That is our hope. That is our goal. This is the kind of event that I hope and want you to never do again. But as long as this epidemic of gun violence continues to rage on, Rhode Island can count on me and my congressional colleagues to keep fighting on this issue until it's solved. Inaction is not an option. Lives are on the line.